night we pray, kneeling low, hear what we say. Freedom calls in every tone. Faith is built on hearts of stone. Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky, a righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down, for the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With His love, we're never ashamed. Lift our voices to the sky, a righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down, for the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday to you guys. It's hump day. It is hump day. Appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. I think I had mentioned this last week. If you're not receiving notifications of when the videos pop out, when I go live, please check your notifications, because sometimes they'll turn them off. Other times they'll have it to where they kind of can pick and choose when you get a notification. So you want to make sure that when you hit the notification on that subscribe button, make sure you put it on all so you receive everything. I appreciate everybody pulling up, man. Make sure you guys hit the like button. That's the best way to support the channel, is hitting the like button. Number 2 way is to share. Number 3 way is to watch this thing and just stay with me all the way through this thing. And, you know, obviously, if you want to go the extra mile, obviously, super chat, super thanks are very, very appreciative of those, as well as joining the ARP family, or you can support, you know, via Buy Me a Coffee. So we got a lot to get into today. We got a lot to talk about. I'm excited about today's show. Going forward, the plan, Lord willing, that we will do morning lives going forward. I really like doing these things in the morning, and then I can work on some other stuff later in the day and work on some other videos and things of that nature that will come out in the evening. But I like getting on here and chopping it up with you guys in the morning. And it gives me an opportunity to touch base on some of the things that happened the previous evening that, you know, those of us, you know, that aren't, what's the word I'm looking for? Insomniacs or anything along those lines, because I don't be up late. I try to get up in the morning and go work out. Although today was not something I could do because we got 4 or 5 inches of snow, or maybe a little more. So, you know, it wasn't safe to get out and hit the gym this morning. But appreciate you, Francine Mata, joining the ARP family. Appreciate you doing that today, man. Appreciate you. So in the chat, let me know where you are tuning in from, city, state, I want to make sure I show some love, to the ARP family members that are in the building this morning. Shout out to you, Ed Meyer, as always. Appreciate you. We missed you yesterday, but I'm glad you're here today. Kenny G from P Styles, appreciate you as well, man. I'm looking forward to my new t-shirts pulling up. I'm looking forward to them so I can have them. I need some stuff to wear, when I do these things in the morning. Shout out to you, Francine. Appreciate you joining the ARP family this morning. Definitely appreciate you. God bless you. Shout out to Reverend Ernie. Hey, I was trying to find you because I knew you had sent me an email to become a mod. I, for whatever reason, cannot find you in your YouTube handle. So I got to figure a way to find you so I can make you a mod, and I will try to make that happen today. But appreciate you, Reverend Ernie, man. God bless you, brother. Appreciate you pulling up. As always, appreciate you supporting the channel as well. Shout out to the Blues. FRK9 pulled up today. Appreciate you, sister. Michael Bell 74. Yes. Hey, I'm right there with you, man. I'm in Maryland and it is cold and snowy. I am not looking forward to going outside and cleaning off the car and all that kind of stuff. My son he had to go to work this morning, so he had to get out and do that, or he's doing it right now as we speak. So I'm not looking forward to doing it because not only do I got to do my car, I got to make sure I take care of wifey's car as well. And I'm just not a fan of the snow. I am a Southerner through and through. So I'm not a big fan of snow. I'm not a big fan of the cold. What's going on, Big Job Ford, man? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Let's get this thing going, man. Let's get going. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody else. Heather Munoz, appreciate you pulling up out of Houston, Texas. All right, we got Francine out of Tucson, Arizona. Yucca Valley, California in the building. Indiana, Texas, Charlie Brown. What's going on with you, man? Carol Reyes. Hey, Carol Reyes. Hey, we missed you on Friday. We got to figure out the next time that I am talking about what's going on out in Chicago, and Lord knows there will be another time. We got to have you get up. If you can come in, we can have you pull up in the morning. What's today? Wednesday. I like to do call-ins on Thursday, so maybe we can get you in. If not Thursday, we'll do Friday. And maybe on Friday, we'll stick to an evening show on Friday because I think a lot of people enjoy the Friday evenings. I enjoy doing them for sure and enjoyed the people that called up last week, which was freaking awesome. If you guys notice, I'm looking at the chat on this side. The camera is in front of me. So just so you know, I'm reading the chat, but the camera's right here in front of me. So I like to make sure that I can see what's going on. No, out of Honolulu, Hawaii. Hey, I used to live out that way back in the day, man. I was out in the Kaneohe Bay area in Kailua back in the day. We got Watkins out of Bellingham, Washington State. Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, my wife just sent me a text message saying, can you please clean off my car? Yeah, I'll do that when I wrap up with you guys, man. Yeah, Evelyn, yeah, I'm in Maryland, in the DMV area. Been out here for a long time. It's cold as all get out, snowy outside. And hey, Yaya, how you doing? Appreciate you pulling up. Eric Smith, what's going on? You shoveling snow? So you're working, listening while you work. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Who else did I make sure I didn't miss anybody? All right, perfect. All righty, man. I appreciate you guys pulling up. We got 298 people in the building this morning, man. I am blessed. I am extremely blessed by this. I really, really appreciate you guys pulling up. Riza Mahmood, he finally caught alive, man. Appreciate you. Good morning to you, man. And good morning to each and every one of you guys. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to discuss. There's some really interesting things happening in the United States. And honestly, since Trump has taken over, I am, ecstatic, about the fact that, not only did he run on things that we believed in and that we agreed upon, he's actually doing everything that he can to fulfill those campaign promises. And he's setting a standard. I've been saying it since he got in. He's setting a standard. He's showing other politicians that, hey, when you run and you campaign on things, you have to follow through. And he is setting a precedence, man. So I am ecstatic with that. But before we get into the feature stories, I want to talk about something that broke last night. And I want to pull this up here and we'll get the show started, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button for me. Like, share. If you haven't subscribed already and you're watching the live today, man, make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right, let's get going.
Mark Fogel had been serving a 14-year sentence after being arrested in Moscow on drug charges in 2021. He met with President Donald Trump at the White House about 30 minutes ago, shortly after touching down in the U.S. ABC's Jacqueline Lee has the story.
Everybody knows Mark.
American Mark Fogel appearing at the White House tonight, a free man after being detained in Russia since 2021.
A real honor. An honor to have you at the White House.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now.
The American was arrested at a Moscow airport on drug charges nearly 4 years ago after the Russian government claimed this video shows Fogel's wife disposing evidence. Fogel's family says he was carrying a small amount of medically prescribed marijuana, but Russian officials sentenced him to 14 years in a penal colony for large-scale drug smuggling. Mark Fogel's mother, Malphine, has been begging for his release for years. And then this week, she got the call of a lifetime. She spoke to ABC's Lindsay Davis.
His buongiorno, that was always his greeting. And I said, who is this? Because that's not one of you. And he said, well, who else says buongiorno to you? But it just was such a shocker, and such a beautiful shocker.
Malphine thanking President Trump, who she said was instrumental in her son's return.
It seems to be in fairly good spirits, and we just need to get him home and hug him and hold him and just find out everything that's been going on within his life.
The White House saying Fogel was freed as part of an exchange with Russia. Earlier today, President Trump not answering what the U.S. gave the Russians.
Not much. No, they were very nice. We were treated very nicely by Russia, actually. I hope that's the beginning of a relationship where we can end that war.
Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. I was glad to see that this morning. I wasn't going to talk about it, but I was glad to see it, this morning. Obviously, we don't know who or what was given up, but the Kremlin did announce that, a Russian citizen was released in the U.S. in exchange for American Mark Fogel, who had been deemed wrongfully detained and returned to the United States on Tuesday. Fogel, as you guys heard, he was arrested, in August of 2021. So, he had been locked up. He had been locked up in Russia for a long time. And being locked up anywhere is terrible, but I couldn't even imagine spending any time in a prison in Russia. I just couldn't. I couldn't. And he was he was serving a 14-year prison sentence. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's like 4 years less than what the basketball player Brittany Griner was actually sentenced to. So that's interesting. And obviously, I'm sure, Fogel's, he expressed his gratitude, for his release. He did state that he felt like the luckiest man alive. I'm sure he did. And I'm sure he does. And I know he's looking forward to being reunited, with his family. I couldn't even imagine what his mom had been going through, what his family members had been going through. I can't even imagine. And, it's good to see him on his way back home, man. That was awesome. So I wanted to start the day off with a feel-good story. I was on X and just, perusing as I always do. And I ran across a story, man. I was like, man, this is awesome, man. This is awesome. Less than a month, man. You're talking about accomplishments, man. Less than a month. President Trump, he's done more in about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks or so, 3 weeks being as president than the previous administration, had done in 4 years. I mean, it's crazy. Obviously, I'm sure we're going to be talking about what happens on Saturday. Trump did put out, he drew a line in the sand. He put out an ultimatum to those guys over at Hamas, man, you got to let these hostages go. So I assume that we're going to be talking about the remainder of the hostages that Hamas has, them being freed as well. Just more good news after more good news, man. It's it's a beautiful thing, man. So I wanted to start the day off with something positive. There's a lot of good things going on in America right now. Obviously, we got a long ways to go. We have a long ways to go. The previous administration, man, they digged us a ditch that it's going to take us a while to get out of, but slowly but surely progress is being made. Slowly but surely progress is being made, to get us out of the ditch, man. And obviously we know that these Democrats, man, they're going to fight us tooth and nail. They're going to fight tooth and nail to maintain power, to sow dissension. You know that's what they do. You obviously know they got their talking points. Ed Maurer, you're absolutely right. They're depressed. They're scared. They're anxious because they're being called to the carpet, man. They're being called to the carpet. And I'm 100% here for it. Let's get into the feature presentation, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Let's keep things going.
Kickbacks or what's going on. But the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. And, you know, the people elected me on that.
He's absolutely right. Let's get into it, man, because there's some big news. There is some big news out there, man. President Trump, Elon Musk, they took questions yesterday inside the Oval Office, and, man, it was something to see. But before we get into all that, I want to talk a bit about something probably on the funnier side of things and the most revealing scandal in modern politics, a scandal that is so ridiculous, so absurd, and so perfectly emblematic of everything wrong with the left-wing media, the establishment, and the political legacy media establishment. And I'm talking about the big balls scandal. I can't believe we even got this. I can't even believe we got to talk about this, but we got to. If you haven't been following the story, let me break it down for you real fast. It all started with Edward Korstein, a 19-year-old genius who was handpicked to be a part of Elon's Doge, which is basically Trump's government audit on steroids. It's a team of elite minds working to uncover and eliminate waste, fraud, and outright corruption within the government. I mean, this is what we asked for. We asked for this. I mean, it sounds wonderful. Well, if you're not a career bureaucrat, it sounds wonderful. If you are, these people, man, they're losing their daggone minds. These career bureaucrats who's been living off the taxpayer dollars for decades, and suddenly they got to answer for why you approved $15 million to decolonize the curriculum DEI grant or a $59 million luxury hotel bill for illegal immigrants in the heart of Manhattan. And we'll get to that here in a second as well. Because right now, the media, they're not focused on Doge. They're not focused on Doge or their findings. They're focused on the fact that when Edward Korstein was a teenager, his online alias was Big Balls. That's it. I mean, how many of you guys back in the day when this email thing, first came out, and I'm sure we got a lot of older folks, here with me about my age or maybe a little older. So you guys remember AOL and, going and getting those AOL emails. How many of y'all had some of the craziest email addresses out there? To be honest with you, when I was staffing and things of that nature and I would see the email address, the email actually, maybe not today, but it used to show us your age. Anybody with an AOL, Yahoo, or Hotmail, we knew immediately, okay, this is an older individual. Y'all remember them discs that used to come from AOL and everybody, trying to kick off this email thing. You didn't really have anybody to email, but they were like, hey, create an email address because it's the future. How many of y'all, had some crazy email address? I mean, this dude's 19 years old, man. He had a login of, Big Balls. I mean, hey, dude's a youngin'. He's 19 right now. So whenever he came out with this, obviously some years back, couldn't have been that long ago, but he's still a young person. The media is losing it over a kid with the tag name of Big Balls. That's it. I mean, that right there is the scandal. And as soon as left-wing journalists found out about Kornstein's old username, they went into full meltdown mode. CNN has an entire panel discussing the national security implications of a government official once using the name Big Balls online. You can't make this stuff up, man. MSNBC's or MSDNC's Joy Reid, in what might be the greatest moment in television history, had to look directly in the camera and say, oh my gosh, yo. You guys got to see this, man. You got to see it for yourself. Hold up. Give me a second. Let me pull it up. All right, here we go.
Take a deep breath for just a moment and ponder big balls. Take a deep breath for just a moment and ponder big balls. Take a deep breath for just a moment and ponder big balls.
Hey. This is ridiculous. I'm sure her Ivy League education she would have never in her wildest dreams thought that she'd had to utter those words on national TV. I am for certain. You cannot make this stuff up, man. These people, they've tried so hard to make the case that Edward was somehow unqualified, as if DC isn't filled with corrupt, unqualified, incompetent bureaucrats who have wasted trillions of tax dollars. But while they were trying to do that, something hilarious happened. And normally, when the media starts a smear campaign, Republicans panic, they backtrack, they issue statements about how concerning the issues are and so forth and so on. They give in to this outrage cycle, but not this time. Instead of throwing Edward under the bus, Trump and Musk, they doubled down. And they not only reinstated him into his Doge position, but they also promoted him. That's right. Edward Kornstein is now a senior advisor at the United States State Department. And just like that, the meltdown quadrupled. These people cannot handle what is happening right now in this country. They can't handle it.
Yes. So this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online. So that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside Doge. And we looked into his background. And so we found, several notable things, Aaron, one of which is that this individual has founded multiple companies, including one with another unfortunate name, Tesla.Sexy LLC, which he established in 2021. He would have been around 16 years old. Now, this LLC controls dozens of web domains.
So this dude is 19 years old. He's already created dozens of companies. This is a smart guy. This isn't some idiot. This dude has started dozens of companies, probably more companies than most people in the United States of America right now. Think about it. What's going on, Renee Suzanne? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Thank you. I mean, this is a smart individual. I mean, we are truly living in the best timeline in America. We really are. Honestly, the best timeline in the world. Because as people got to complain, I got to stop for a second. I got to break off of this for a second. People complain. People complain about all kinds of things, about being oppressed and victims and all this other kind of stuff. The average American, regardless of where you are, you're on a scale. Poor, working class, middle class, upper echelon. We are some of the most fortunate people to ever exist in the history of mankind. I mean, think about this, man. We have running water. We have the ability to control the temperature in our homes. I mean, we are blessed beyond the imagination of our forefathers. We just are. And it just bothers me. It's just baffling to me that people complain. But, you know, I'm sorry to get off topic. But, you know, imagine having to say big balls with a straight face. I can't. I mean, this is ridiculous. But this is how Trump operates, man. He doesn't back down, man. He does not play by these old rules. And he understands that the left's moral outrage, it's completely fake, man. It's made up. And Musk, he made it even worse for him. Now, what does Musk do when he finds the media is desperately trying to discredit him in Doge? He changes his own X username to Harry Balls. I noticed that a couple of days ago. You know, X, he is some, I'm sorry, but Elon is somebody that I do follow on X. And because the dude just, I mean, you want to talk about not even a founder, but somebody who, you know, owns a company, but is involved in the company. I mean, this dude is involved, man. Tweets like crazy. And he actually throws a lot of people some love, man. He's helped some smaller people really, really grow and build on X because he's highlighted some really solid individuals on there. So now CNN, MSDNC, the leftist media, they have to run the headlines like Harry Balls and Big Balls are working together to dismantle bureaucratic inefficiencies. That's what they got to do, man. That's where we are right now. Harry Balls and the Doge team are facing scrutiny from federal judges. This is where we are. This is where we are in the United States in 2025, man. You know, it's crazy.
Disruptor in chief, Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls, tweeted this morning, democracy in America is being destroyed by judicial coup. An activist judge is not a real judge. And as now, the disruptor.
He's absolutely right there. He gets no argument from me. He's absolutely right. This is what happens when an entire political ideology has no sense of humor. This is what happens. Musk is playing the media like a daggone fiddle. I don't even know if they realize it. Maybe they're too dumb to realize it. Now let's get serious for a quick second. The media doesn't actually care about a 19-year-old's username. They really don't. The real reason that they're panicking is because Doge is uncovering how much taxpayer money is being wasted on absolute nonsense. This is a smokescreen to keep you distracted from what's actually going on. That's what this is about. They're hoping that the people that watch their channel is so dumb and so disillusioned that they will not pay attention to what's actually happening and listen to the outcry or outrage of something so foolish as a 19-year-old's former username on social media platforms from a few years back when he was in high school. That's the issue. So yesterday, while all of this was happening, Trump, Elon, and Lil X, who is a cutie, Lil X there, man, getting his daggone 15 minutes of shine, you know, stood in the Oval Office taking questions from the media. Something you'd never see under Biden. How many times did we see Biden take questions in the Oval Office from the media? How many times did that happen? I don't recall seeing it at all.
X, are you okay? This is X, and he's a great guy, high IQ. He's a high IQ individual.
And he's got this. Check out this cool chain he's got.
So thank you very much. We had a busy day today. The king just.
I mean, come on, man. He had him dressed up right, though, right? He had his gold chain on. Elon didn't even need to talk. Just let X speak, man. Just let little X handle things.
Just left, and we We've had a great discussion, terrific discussion, concerning Gaza and everything else. We had discussions also about Saturday at 12 o'clock. It's going to be a big moment. We'll see what happens. I don't expect much happening with these people, but we'll see what happens. And we're going to be signing a very important deal today. It's Doge, and I'm going to ask Elon to tell you a little bit about it and some of the things that we found, which are shocking. Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons I got elected. I say we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. We want to.
Yep. The fact that they've enlisted judges to stop it when they've uncovered this much waste and fraud. People need to be in those areas. If you live in those areas, I don't know if these judges are elected officials or if they are appointed. I'm not 100% sure because I know some judgeships are elected officials and others, they are appointed. But they got to do something about that in those areas. But I got to say, man, beautiful families are back in the White House, man. And I love it. That was a sight to see. That was a sight to see. Little X in there, man, getting his shine. You know, and Elon, in his classic, you know, slightly awkward way, lays out what should be common sense, talking about how he's going to cut the budget deficit in half while his son X is whispering to Trump and, you know, picking his nose and, you know, it was crazy. I mean, this is great, man. I mean, you guys, you got to love it, but you got to see it, man. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see.
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
What?
Including a lot of Democrats.
At a high level, you say, well, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop. But with the support of the president, we can cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1, and then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build. And if we do that, that means I think we can get the economic growth to be maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%. And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you can cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion, between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26. And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's, the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop. That's a fantastic scenario for the average American. I mean, imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same.
He got me when he said cut the daggone deficit from 2 trillion to 1 trillion. Do you guys understand how much $1 trillion is? I had seen something the other day. $1 billion or 1 billion minutes would be the equivalent of like 31 years and some change. That's a billion. 31 years and some change. $1 trillion, we can't even really fathom $1 trillion, to be honest with you. We just can't. And yes, there's a whole lot of regulations out there that don't serve the public any good, man. Everyday Americans should be thrilled beyond belief with what Elon's doing right now and what President Trump campaigned on, promised, and is allowing to be done. The government is supposed to work for the people, not the other way around. I mean, it sounds simple. It sounds simple, right? But here's the problem. If the bureaucrats in Washington have all the power and they're not elected, then what kind of democracy do we actually have? Seriously. If you can't hold the people accountable because they're not elected officials, what kind of democracy do we actually have? You have to ask yourself that question.
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
I have to what?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted, we have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House, we won the Senate.
Hey, Rayleigh, Americans aren't against Elon. You have a handful of, maybe a handful of citizens out there that may be, but a lot of the pushback, it's coming from these elected officials and honestly non-elected officials who are mad that, their money is about to be messed up.
The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what the people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
Exactly. Trump is setting a precedent right now. He is setting a precedent right now. And to be honest with you, I think that has a lot of these Democrats and some of the rhinos. I think it has them a little scared because they're like, how are we going to follow this up? How are we going to follow up a guy who actually campaigned on things and followed through on his campaigns? The people are going to have expectations now. The people are going to have expectations. So yeah. The left's favorite new distraction is that they're now screaming that Trump is causing a constitutional crisis. Apparently, Musk working with Doge to audit government waste is now an attack on democracy. This is the same media that cheered when Biden ignored Supreme Court rulings that he didn't like, encouraged Democrats to pack the Supreme Court, told Biden to ignore district court rulings when they were inconvenient. This is the same media. But now, 3 weeks into Trump's second term, suddenly democracy is under attack. I mean, cut it out, man. The real constitutional crisis is judges stepping in to block Trump from even looking at government spending. This is the fundamental problem with these establishment bureaucrats. And before anyone calls that a conspiracy theory, let me remind you that we just saw government officials actively trying to sabotage Trump's policies from within. I mean, it's happening right now. Tom Homan just exposed that the FBI has been leaking ICE raid details to help illegals escape. We have an enemy within.
Tom Homan. Tom, where are these leaks coming from?
Well, look, we think it's coming from inside, and we know the first leak of Aurora is under current investigation. We think we identified that person under investigation right now. The California leak, Secretary Noem, she's correct. Some of the information we're receiving tends to lead toward the FBI. But I talked to the Deputy Attorney General all this weekend. They've opened up a criminal investigation. And they have promised that not only this person lose their job and lose their pension, they're going to go to jail. They're going to criminally prosecute. So we're all over it.
Yeah. The fact that somebody from the inside is leaking information to help illegal immigrants, it's treason. And to be honest with you, an example must be set because this just can't stand. This isn't the type of thing that we can allow to happen. This isn't the type of thing that the American people, this isn't something that, honestly, the United States government should allow to happen. not only is it gross insubordination, but it's putting people's lives at risk. Let me repeat that. Federal law enforcement officials are actively sabotaging their own operations to help criminals get away. And these aren't just random guys overstaying their visas. We're talking gang members, drug traffickers, human smugglers. All the while, these people, both the migrants and the ones helping them get away, they're raking in thousands, millions, if not billions of dollars from the American taxpayers. And Elon's like, hey, man, something's not right here. Hold up a second. Something is not right here. How do we have federal workers amassing high net worths on a government salary, all while they don't really seem to be working or care to work for the American people? How is that possible?
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about $30 million,
right,
etc.?
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where do they come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So, we're looking at, we just.
Hey, I am curious as all get out. I am curious as HE double hockey sticks as to where this money came from. Where'd the $59 million that was spent by FEMA on luxury hotels for illegal immigrants in New York City, where did that come from? Where did the $9 million on Central American gender assessment consultant services and the Women in Forest Carbon Initiatives mentorship program, where did that come from? Where did millions in slush fund payments to NGOs with direct ties to Democratic donors come from? And why are 150-year-olds still collecting Social Security? What are these people, vampires or something? Like, what the heck is going on, man? Seriously. You got to ask yourself these questions.
Things that matter to the people. I mean, these things, it's just common sense. It's not draconian or radical, I think. It's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it. So, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. That's a case where, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous, one of the two. And then there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, why is there no identifying information? Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it. And that they receive it quickly and accurately. Also, another crazy thing. So, one of the things is we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this, obviously there need to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, if people can retire, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments, everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because
all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government.
This is insane, man. That doesn't even make sense. I bet none of you guys knew about this mine shaft that's housing all this information. I mean, this is insane. So 150-year-olds are collecting Social Security checks. And not only that, I would assume that they're voting. They're also voting, right? I mean, we're also processing retirement paperwork manually in 2025. Manually processing paperwork in 2025. This is what the federal government is doing. And before the media goes, no, it's not true. Look at what I found. And for whatever reason, I was trying to post an article, but they wouldn't let me post an article. But there is an article, and you guys can go and check it out. It's from the Washington Post from back in 2014, saying the same thing. And not only that, but apparently the government's been trying to digitize the system since the 80s and has wasted over $100 million on the project with no results. With no results. Go and check it out. It's at the Washington Post. It's called A Sinkhole of Bureaucracy. Go check it out. But the Washington Post published an article called The Sinkhole of Bureaucracy that stated there were 600 workers doing this job. And Elon just said today that there are 700 people working on this 11 years later. And, you know, if Democrats didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all. Let's just keep it a buck. And during the press conference, Elon essentially explained why the government keeps approving billions of dollars in payments without even checking on them. Elon Musk said that everything in government is designed to minimize complaints. Translation, if they just approve every payment, nobody complains. This is why we have trillions of dollars in debt and massive fraud happening right under our noses. Because the second you actually audit this stuff, that's when people start screaming. That's when people start complaining. That's when people start coming out the woodworks. And that's why Treasury just blindly approves payments. And that's why nobody in Washington wants to actually look at where your tax dollars are going, because if they did, the entire house of cards would collapse. Now, imagine if you ran your personal finances this way. I don't know how many of you guys are business owners, but imagine if you ran your business that way. You wouldn't be in business that long. You just approve everything. You don't check. You don't ask questions. You just approve everything that your employees say, hey, boss, we need this, and you just sign off on it. I know you don't run your personal finances that way because it'd be a whole heck of a lot of people filing bankruptcy. And I'm for certain that anybody that owns a business, small or large, you can't possibly run your business this way. But this is how our government is running. Imagine just saying, I don't want to deal with the hassle of checking my bank statements, so I'll just approve every transaction. I don't know where this payment or that payment came from. I don't know about this invoice or that invoice, but it's approved. Seriously, how long, if you acted that way, how long would it take before you was bankrupt? If you owned a business, how long would it take before you were out of business? A month, a week? How long? That's exactly how the federal government operates, except they have infinite money because they keep taking it from you, from me, or They do what they just did over the past 4 years is just print a bunch of daggone money. And you wonder why inflation is through the roof. You wonder why our deficit is $2 trillion a year. $2 trillion a year. Are you freaking kidding me? Which brings me back to the whole FEMA thing. Not only did they spend $59 million just last week on hotels for illegals. Y'all heard me correctly. $59 million was spent on hotels for illegals last week in a direct violation of Trump's executive order. But Trump and Elon revealed last night that FEMA was also paying 2 times the normal hotel rate to house these migrants in luxury hotels in New York City. So not only are they paying, but they're paying 2 times the rate. Who is getting the kickback from this? Who is benefiting from this? Seriously. You have to ask yourself, who is benefiting from this?
Room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable. How do you stop looking? I mean, we've already found it. We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million. $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants. All illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Mr. Musk, I'm going to ask you a question.
Well, if I may sort of...
$59 daggone million, man. Everybody should be outraged. When's the last time the government paid for a place for you to stay? This is insane. That's like the video I put out the other day where those folks up in, where were they up? Maine? They got brand new houses, all utilities paid for, fully furnished, on taxpayer dimes. And all this happened while FEMA skipped homes with Trump signs after the hurricane in Florida and North Carolina late last year because they felt uncomfortable. I mean, come on, man. While people in Western North Carolina were living in tents for months, these people sent $59 million to illegal immigrants that shouldn't be in our country, man. I mean, it is a slap in the face to every American. And the thing is that it's North Carolina, it's Florida today. But these natural disasters, they happen everywhere. It could be your city, your state, your town. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. You can't make this type of stuff up, man. You just can't. You cannot make this stuff up, man. Uh-oh. Give me a second. Technical difficulties. So this is the FEMA official who said that they skipped FEMA homes or homes down in Florida with Trump signs. I mean,
and someone feels uncomfortable, we can't go to that home. If you have loose dogs and someone on the team is comfortable with dogs and another person is not, we can't go to that home because of safety precautions.
So you feared the Trump houses. The people on FEMA were fearing the Trump houses like they were fearing people with vicious dogs in their backyard.
Exactly. And just and that's based on the trends. You can ask FEMA.
She said exactly like it was a good thing. Like what they were doing was right. You can't make this stuff up, man. It's completely unbelievable, but believable at the same time. The Trump administration fired FEMA CFO Mary Comins yesterday, along with, I believe, 3 other employees, and good riddance to them. Good riddance to them. But that's not enough, man. They got to be held accountable. Honestly, they need charges. They defied a direct order and spent $59 million of taxpayer money defying a direct order. How many homeless veterans could that money have helped? How many struggling working class, middle class Americans could that money have helped? How many struggling senior citizens in our country could that money have helped? People who have actually paid into the country, people who have actually worked and paid taxes, people who have actually served and fought this nation. Citizens who, should not be stressed out about money in their older age and they have a need, who I'm for certain have worked and paid into the system. Those are the kind of people that we need to support. I don't have a problem helping our disabled veterans that need a helping hand, or our veterans in general that need a helping hand once they get out. Lord knows it is a process. What's going on, B? How you doing today, sister? Lord knows it's a process. When you get out the military, those of you guys that serve, whether it's a long amount of time or a short amount of time, it takes some of us a year, 2 years before we feel normal again in regular society. I can only imagine the people that have, spent time in war zones and things of that nature. What's going on, Quincy? How you doing today this morning? I can only imagine how long it takes if they ever adjust back to civilian society and they find themselves, on the streets and down and out. We have a plethora of senior citizens that need help. They've worked, they've paid into the system. They've been productive citizens, and unfortunately, things happen, and those people need help. I personally don't have a problem supporting those people. Our folks that we have in this country that are disabled, I don't have a problem supporting those people. Now, I do have a problem supporting able-bodied people that can get out and go get a daggone job. I do have a problem supporting them long term, but a lot of us, we've all been in situations where we needed a helping hand and needed a hand up. And I don't necessarily have a problem doing so on a temporary basis for able-bodied people that can get out, get up, and go get a job. But the people who need the help, our senior citizens, our disabled Americans, our veterans, who are suffering from mental illness or mental health issues, that are disabled, there's no reason that these people should be being ignored. How many Americans could have benefited from that $59 million that went to people that shouldn't be here? The priority was making sure that people who broke the law to get here are living comfortable while we have American citizens struggling. In the media, the left, they have the audacity to call Trump and Elon Musk dangerous. But you know what's actually dangerous? A government that doesn't have to answer to the people, a government that doesn't give a dang about its people. Now, one of the biggest topics that came up was Elon Musk Pentagon contracts, because, of course, the left is obsessed with trying to take Musk down. And the media keeps crying about how much money SpaceX gets from the Department of Defense. But here's what they don't tell you. Elon Musk isn't even in the top 5 of military contractors. You know who is? You know who is? You know who's in the top 5 of military contractors? Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, Pfizer, and yes, I said Pfizer, the same company that raked in billions of taxpayer dollars, for the C-19 vaccine. But sure, let's all pretend that SpaceX is the real villain here. It's ironic that the same Democrats who are freaking out over Trump and Musk looking into government corruption are the ones who wanted to hire 80,000 armed IRS agents to audit the middle class. Think about that. They were okay with hiring 80,000 new armed IRS agents to come and shake down. Let's call it what it is. It's not an audit. It's to shake down the middle class. So, yeah. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about this, what you guys think about this. Do you guys actually believe that Trump and Musk are the problem? I don't. The real issue, and I'm assuming that you guys would agree with me, the real issue is that these people are upset because the corruption is being exposed. That's what they're upset about. And since we're on the topic of corruption, of transparency, on the topic of things the media and the left, they don't actually want you to know, don't actually want us talking about, I want to shift gears for a bit, but I want to take a quick break. You know, I've been at this for about an hour. I want to take a quick 30-second break, get a sip of water. We'll be right back, all right? All right. Before I get started again, shout out to Muddy Falcon for the $5 super chat. Hook it up. We need more truth. Best investment ever. Appreciate you, brother, man. Appreciate you supporting the channel as always. And as always, I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. Super chat, super thanks. They will stop the show. They will get read. You know, but yeah, B, that was quick. I just want to take a quick 30-second, man, so I could get a sip of water and things of that nature. I'm feeling good, man. And this is, I hope you guys are enjoying the longer show this morning. The plan going forward will be to do these in the mornings and to have, you know, something that's a little longer, you know, going forward. But let's keep it moving. All right. So another bombshell dropped yesterday. And I'm sure you guys have heard about it, but buckle up because we got some serious fireworks happening in Washington, D.C. We got some serious fireworks happening in Washington, D.C., and we got to stop the show. Shout out to Temple RN. Shout out to you, sister. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you. Or Tempe RN. I said Temple. Tempe RN. Love your shows. Appreciate you supporting the channel, man. That is phenomenal. That is awesome. Thank you. That is phenomenal, man. I appreciate the support, man. Thank you very much. But yeah, so we got to talk about it, man. We got to talk about, you know, there's some serious things going on in Washington, D.C. right now. And, you know, I'm not talking about the usual political, you know, theatrics. You know, we're talking about a full-on war against secrecy, against these, you know, shadowy figures in the establishment who have been hiding the truth from the American people for decades. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna has just announced that she will be leading a brand new task force on the declassification of federal secrets. Let's check out and see what she had to say.
It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on declassification of federal secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on. Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long. If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments from the truth that they are entitled to know. We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens. That does not just serve, but one that enlightens. Trust through transparency, that begins now.
This is huge news, man. This is huge. We've been spoon-fed the official narratives for decades. The single bullet theory. Give me a break. Jeffrey Epstein just happened to unalive himself under the most bizarre and unlikely circumstances in a high-security federal prison. I don't know if I believe that. The origins of C-19, it still remains murky despite overwhelming evidence pointing towards a lab in Wuhan. You don't say. 9/11, there's still glaring questions about certain government agencies knew ahead of time. And now we're hearing whispers that they may have had even more knowledge than we were, originally told. So here's the big question. You got to ask yourself, why now? Why is this happening all of a sudden? Well, part of the answer is that President Trump in his second term has already taken a massive step towards, signing an executive order to declassify these files. He knows the American people are fed up. They want answers. And Anna Paulina Luna is stepping up to make sure that those answers actually get to us. But let's be real. I know that this is going to be a fight. If you think the intelligence agencies, the bureaucrats, the lifelong Washington swamp creatures are just going to hand over the truth, not in your life. Not a chance. If history has taught us anything, it's that these people operate in the shadows for a reason. They don't want to be exposed. They don't want to be seen. They don't want the public to connect the dots on, how much corruption or deception and outright criminality have shaped some of the most consequential events in our nation's history. That's why they fought so hard to hide the truth from us. That's why.
Irvin, can I ask you a quick question? Why won't you subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs?
So who are you?
Hillary Vaughn with Fox.
With Fox, of course. I don't know anything about his flight logs.
But why won't you subpoena them? Why don't you want to know?
I don't know the issue. I know who Epstein was, but I certainly don't know anything about the issue.
Well, he was charged with sex trafficking, so why don't you want to know who was utilizing his private plane?
Never been raised by anyone.
Senator Blackburn has wanted to subpoena them, and there hasn't been a vote in your committee.
He said a word to me, not a word.
But aren't you curious, what high-profile or powerful people might be closeted predators and pedophiles? Doesn't that concern you?
Of course.
So why won't you subpoena them if you can?
It's the first time anyone has raised it. Thank you, Fox.
So are you curious about it? Will you do it?
He didn't sound happy. Why is this dude so upset? Why is he getting mad at Fox for asking him about, subpoenaing Epstein's flight logs? It makes you wonder. It really does. The man who had dirt on some of the most powerful people on the planet, whose client list includes the global elites, and who ran one of the most disgusting criminal enterprises ever uncovered. Yet somehow our government still won't release the full names, a full list of names. Why is that? You got to ask yourself these questions. Why? Who are they protecting? We know that the FBI has terabytes of evidence gathered from Epstein's properties, but it remains locked away. You have to ask yourself, why? Who are they protecting? And then you have Kash Patel, who Trump nominated for director of the FBI, promising that he'll release the Epstein list on day one. I don't know if that will happen. Maybe that may be the reason why he doesn't get the nod. That could be it. I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting.
The only thing I care about is the scandal of the pedophiles, and in the next 10 days, you're going to see the Epstein file released.
In the next 10 days?
Next 10 days.
Oh,
Yep.
please. You think in the next 10 days the whole thing's going to be released?
Yeah.
And what kind of information you have to be able to be that certain about it?
I plead the fifth.
In the next 10 days?
The next 10 days.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Next 10 days.
You're
I'm telling
teasing millions who want that list.
Day number one, Kash Patel walks in. By the end of the day, it will be released.
Oh, please.
Did Kash Patel get confirmed yet?
Not yet. They
Not
delayed
yet.
it.
Did RFK get confirmed yet?
Not yet.
Tulsi? None of them, though.
House, not Senate. Yeah.
So
All
as
right.
soon as he's confirmed, his first day, it will be released.
Oh, I can't wait.
The only thing I care about is the
That's interesting, man. And you have to wonder why, or maybe that is the reason why. Maybe that's why Democrats are delaying his confirmation. They're trying to block it. This is the same guy, Senator Dick Durbin, who's in charge of blocking Cash's confirmation. Met with Bill Gates, who met with who we all know was buddy with Epstein, who was on Epstein's plane, who makes you wonder. It really does, man. It's interesting, to say the least. It's pretty interesting stuff, man.
Next to the nominations of individuals to serve on the courts of our land, which are often lifetime appointments, this appointment of the head of the FBI is one of the most serious that the Senate Judiciary Committee should consider. We decided 50 years ago to depoliticize the FBI by giving 10-year tenures to those who headed up the FBI to transcend any single administration or any single president. So that's one of the most important things that distinguishes this nomination from others. Secondly, we have an individual in Kash Patel who has published a book which in detail describes his view of politics in America. It is a book that is filled with grievances, filled with conspiracy theories, and filled with information of how he sided with the January 6 rioters against the police in this very Capitol complex. And so when he came to testify before the committee, we had some questions that he was asked and he needed to answer about his conduct. And we went through them, particularly on the element of the J6 choir. I know this sounds like a curious thing to spend any time on, but it's a reflection on his priorities and the fact that he's asking to head up the most important single law enforcement agency in the United States at a time when he sided with the so-called political prisoners of January 6th instead of the brave men and women who risked their lives to protect us here in the Capitol complex. He created this musical undertaking and was proudly proclaiming it to Steve Bannon, how the hard work he went to master and digitize it and create a musical work that can be played at the Trump rallies. When we asked him about him in the committee, he couldn't remember any part of it, didn't know who the singers were, wasn't sure what I was talking about. That kind of evasion betrays the fact that he sided with the prisoners when he should have sided with the police.
Okay, so that's enough of that, man. This is why Kash Patel's nomination might be one of the most important out of all of President Trump's cabinet picks. It's because he's going to expose them all. Take JFK, for example, a Democrat. We know that the official government story has been riddled with tons of inconsistencies. Even members of Congress are now openly saying what used to be dismissed as some crazy conspiracy theory that, one of these, alphabet agencies had a role, in the assassination of the president. Y'all know who it is. And let's not forget that, the FBI recently discovered thousands of previously withheld pages of documents on the JFK assassination. Convenient timing, isn't it? And then there's 9/11. I mean, did you know that recently, released government documents have confirmed that your favorite 3-letter agency worked with the Saudi government to bring some of the hijackers into America. They facilitated their entry and got them into flight schools, and then somehow missed all the signs that led to, the deadliest terror attack in American history. I mean, I don't think at this point that's considered a conspiracy theory. That's their own documentation. Catherine Herridge uncovered some documents that show USAID supported college tuition for, Anwar al-Awlaki, who later became a high-level Al-Qaeda terrorist. I mean, it's a lot of things out there, man. I want to show you guys this right here. Let me pull it up real quick. This right here, from Catherine Herridge, that says, look like USAID supported college tuition for Anwar al-Awlaki, who later became a high-level Al-Qaeda terrorist. Al-Awlaki falsely claimed he was born in Yemen to secure the financial help via the State Department, when he actually was a U.S. citizen born in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Al-Awlaki would later develop close ties with several 9/11 hijackers and attain leadership status in, AQ's Yemen affiliate. Yeah. This is that document there. It's a lot of things that are coming out, man. It just really makes you wonder, Harris, she says that, in this post on X, as you can see, that, Al-Awlaki falsely claimed that he was born in Yemen. So you guys can see, like, there is a lot of things that, have happened in this country that, we've been either lied to or just completely misled about. Al-Awlaki, he was the American targeted for death. And I think he was killed by a U.S. drone strike back in 2011. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. In a separate post, she says that after USAID paid for his tuition at Colorado State, he was invited to speak at the Pentagon. But months earlier, the FBI apparently interviewed him about his direct contact with hijackers in San Diego and Virginia. Like, how much of this was hidden from us, man? I mean, we never got the full story, but maybe, we're finally about to. But we've never gotten the full story, and maybe we'll get that information. What happened with the drones? Why are all these pilots, these pretty high-ranking people in the military seeing stuff that they can't explain? Or how about the assassination attempts, on 47? There's a lot of questions. I'm still looking forward to hearing, how did this guy get on the roof with an AR-15 overlooking a building at a Trump rally? We're still waiting on information. Why were there no agents stationed up there? Why did local law enforcement say that there were no communication with the Secret Service? There's a lot of questions, man. A lot of questions that the people demand answers. All this stuff is connected. The cover-ups, the lies, the political assassinations, the classified files. I mean, this is about power and who really holds it. We've been told for decades that we live in a democracy where the government is accountable to the people, but the reality is that there is a permanent state, a cabal of unelected bureaucrats and operatives who believe that they run the show. And here's the kicker. When you start pulling on, one thread, the whole fabric of deception begins to unravel. Think about it for a second. If they lied about what happened in the JFK situation, what else have they lied about? If they covered up Epstein's crimes, who else is involved? If they manipulated intelligence on 9/11, what other false narratives are we living under right now? This is about breaking the illusion, about finally exposing the full scope of how deeply entrenched corruption has been shaping our world. So what happens next? What happens next? The first hearing is set for March, and the battle for transparency, it begins. Expect roadblocks, expect the establishment to fight tooth and nail, to fight back, expect the media to try and paint this task force as a joke. But do not be fooled. This is exactly what accountability looks like. And for the first time in a long time, we have elected officials willing to take on the intelligence communities, the bureaucratic overlords, and the entrenched powers that have lied to the American people for years. The only question that I have is, will they succeed? That's the question that I have. Will they succeed? Because they definitely have an uphill battle. I want to hear from you guys, man. Will these people, will Alina and this task force, will they succeed? Or will the establishment do what it always does? Delay, obstruct, and bury the truth once again. And honestly, in my opinion, I believe it's up to us, because the more that we demand transparency, the harder it becomes to keep up the charade. But the American people need to continue to put the pressure on. Don't fall a victim to legacy media, because we understand that legacy media is bought and paid for. We all know this now. The charade is up. I've been telling anybody that'll listen to me, when I'm outside, when I'm out and about, man, legacy media, they are bought and paid for it. It's just propaganda. And it's meant to distract you from what's actually going on, or really from asking the right questions. They give you a bunch of foolishness to keep you from asking the right questions. And they're hoping that they can feed you so much, and I hate to use the word misinformation, that it puts you in a state to where you don't even know the right questions to ask. That's where we are. But I appreciate you guys pulling up. Today is Wednesday. We'll do something different, man. I don't know, if anybody would like to pull up. I do ask that you keep it PC and obviously keep it YouTube friendly. But if anybody would like to pull up for a quick second, speak their mind, let me know what they, think about anything that was discussed today. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm going to drop a link quickly in the chat. When you do pull up, just let me know. You don't have to have your camera on, but do let me know, your name and where you're calling from. And then you'll either be able to ask a question or, a statement. And, so I'd love to hear from you guys, man. What's going on, Quincy? How you doing today this morning, brother? Sal Veloz, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. What's up, T.A. Caskey? How you doing today, brother? Appreciate you pulling up, man. I figured you'd be at work, but I'm doing a flip. So instead of doing the later in the evenings, that 7:30, 8 o'clock, I am switching and flipping to to the morning show. So we'll be doing, morning shows kicking off at about 9:30, in the morning. I tend to like these, a little better than the later in the evening shows. I kind of start to wind down and kind of get tired. But, I do enjoy, I enjoy the evening shows, but I like the morning shows, and then we'll try to keep the Friday evening show. We'll try to keep something going on Friday, even if it's, just going over a couple of things and chopping it up with you guys. Maybe we'll have that and have Friday evening be the call-in show and things of that nature. But I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning as always. Shout out to the mods, T.A. Caskey, B that pulled up today, Zephyr, Renee, Suzanne. Appreciate you guys pulling up. As always, all my ARP family members, Ed Meyer, Quincy James, Eric Smith. Appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. Shout out to new ARP family member, Francine Mata. Shout out to Muddy Falcon for the $5 super chat. Shout out to Tempe RN for the $49.99 super chat. Appreciate the support. I appreciate the love, man. You guys do not understand. We are definitely fighting an uphill battle, but I definitely appreciate those that support the channel in that way. It's not taken for granted and truly, truly appreciate it, man. So I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning, man. We'll catch up with you guys tomorrow morning, Lord willing. Keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all a little later. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp,